Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts with Semantic Mastery. Of course, it is episode 52. We've made it a year. Luckily, nothing horrible happened in the last week, so we were able to make it here today. Today is the 28th of October, and of course, we got everybody here for this episode. How's it going, Chris?
Hello, Adam. How's
Hey,
everybody doing?
good,
Excited
good.
to be
Hernan, how
here.
you doing?
Hernan's muted.
All right.
Hey guys, hey everyone. Yeah, that's right. Do something
Sorry,
silly.
Marco, what's up?
Hey everybody, happy to be here.
And Bradley, how's it going, man?
Excited to be here 52 weeks in a row, guys. That's unheard of, and I'm really proud of us for being able to do that without missing even a single week. And we'll probably be bragging about this for months to come. And so,
Every Wednesday you'll get to hear.
there's no more Hump Day Hangouts after today. No.
No.
We're gonna keep it going. We got one scheduled week off next month. But beyond that, as far as I know, we're just going to keep on rolling, man. We enjoy doing this. This is our way of giving back to our students as well as just to the, this business has been good to us, and we all enjoy that. I know we do. So,
Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for everybody
deal.
being here for this special episode. I know Adam's got a couple more announcements, and then we'll get right into questions because there's already a ton of them. So go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, hopefully everybody heard about the contest we had. We sent out the emails over the past few days. We posted in the group, so hopefully you guys got in there and got a chance to sign up. So we just drew the winners. So gonna just go down the list here. We've got a 6-month masterclass worth lots of money. It says on the page. But the winner of that is RK. It is discovermypurpose@gmail. So you will be getting an email with that. So we'll be contacting you shortly. The second prize was 1 month of Video Powerhouse. All right. So this is our video embed network that we've been talking about that we had a limited release to our mastermind members. This isn't even available publicly right now. And the lucky winner there was Lauren Giraldo. Lauren Giraldo at Gmail. So we'll be contacting you shortly. And last but
Damn,
not
that's the
least,
first one.
what's up?
He's the very first one. Damn.
Awesome.
And last but not least, IFTTT network. All right, free on the house. We're making and building it for you, and that's going to go to Tom Skepticide at Yahoo. So we'll be contacting you as well via email. So hopefully you guys all gave us your good emails, and you guys can get in on this. So the last announcement on prizes, though, like we said, we're going to give something away live. So at the end of the episode, we're going to choose one winner, and they're going to get 3 months free mastermind. All right, and that's going to be chosen by us, and it's going to be whoever asked the best question here today. And not only that, they have to be here today. Okay, so you can still ask it, but like we say, first come, first serve. So if we don't have time, we don't get to your question. That's tough, but hopefully you still, if you got a really good question, I mean, we mean it. We're not going to pick the funniest question. We want somebody who's asking some good questions. So that's how we're going to do it.
Yeah, because if it was the funniest, it would be
Yeah,
probably
I thought-
Wayne Clayton or
Probably Wayne, yeah.
because of their memes, So, yeah, that said, probably about 10 minutes prior to us wrapping this up, so around, 4:50 Eastern time, we'll go ahead and start picking that winner because that'll give us a few minutes to verify that you are here by once we announce your name, you can post on the events page to let us know that you are indeed attending live. Because otherwise, if you don't reply once we pick your name and say it out loud, then we won't know whether you're actually here or not. And we want to make sure that it's only for live attendees that have the opportunity to win that. And I'm assuming, Adam, if it's a Semantic Mastery Mastermind member already that happens to win, we'll just refund them a month. Is that correct? Or how does that work?
Well, like we said, it was 3 months, so yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into questions because I know we got a lot, and let's go ahead and do it. Everyone ready?
Yeah, I thought we
Is it?
just were getting drunk and partying today,
Oh,
but
yeah.
no, we're answering questions. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, this birthday party sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a Q&A party.
Yeah. All right.
All right, Sky says, Happy 52. My IFTTT 2.0 blogs have very low page authority. What is the easiest way to boost this? Do you include terms of service privacy pages on these blogs, and do you use paid images? Okay, I do not include terms of service and privacy pages on Web 2.0 blogs. Personally, I don't. It's just additional work that I think is completely unnecessary. as far as boosting page authority, there's a lot of stuff that we do with, we use PBNs, GSA, FCS Networker. We recommend that you use something like FCS Networker or Syndwire as a first tier link to your IFTTT networks, and then you can use GSA to power those links up so that you're not hitting your tier 1 IFTTT ring directly with spam, at least not GSA type spam. But pretty much anything that you can build links to those networks with, preferably links that have some juice already, you can increase page authority. That's not the most important metric. It does help, but it's not the most important metric. You want to try to build relevant links to those networks because that's going to increase topical trust flow, which is more important in my opinion than page authority. However, strictly for boosting page authority, again, you can spam it, you can do PBN links, you can use sape links, a number of things. Hernan, you want to add to that?
Yeah, in fact, we have developed the link building service for IFTTT networks, thinking on how to make them more powerful, and they have been working great because we've been using a combination of FCS and GSA, but it doesn't have to be FCS. You just have to have a layer of contextuals pointing to those IFTTT networks. That is what we have found that works the best, and you can achieve that with GSA only. You can achieve that with RankWiz or any other service there, or your own Web 2.0 networks. But the main idea here is that you put a layer of contextuals because we have discovered that they pass more juice that way. Yeah. So as Bradley was saying, so as not to spam them. Even further, if you're talking about a branded network, which should be considered part of your website as well.
That's correct. And we've actually are testing another Web 2.0 posting service right now that we can use instead of just FCS, which is pretty cool. I can't really talk about it other than it posts to a lot of different Web 2.0 sites that aren't typically used in most Web 2.0 posting apps. So it will give us some more variety in our Web 2 links, which is going to be kind of cool. We're testing it right now, but hopefully within the next maybe 2 weeks, if it works out as well as we plan on it working out, we'll be using that as an add-on service for the link building packages. So we'll keep you guys posted. Daniel says, or do I use paid images? No, not for Web 2.0 blogs. For money sites, yeah, oftentimes I will. I'll purchase images from like stock photo places because I'm worried about it causing issues. If I'm using somebody else's image, I'll try to attribute to where the image source came from, but even then you have to be careful because sometimes attributing citing the source of the image is not enough, and you can still get into trouble for that. So, but for Web 2.0 sites, no, absolutely not. I don't do that. And if you're using paid images on your money site and you're syndicating your blog posts, you're going to have licenses for those images anyways. So you're actually just syndicating the image that you have a license for.
Don't use Getty images no matter what unless you pay for them.
Yeah, because they will hunt you down and fine you.
And beat you up and take your lunch money.
Yep, basically. Daniel says, hey guys, I have a 2-tier IFTTT network purchase from you guys, which is triggered by a YouTube channel. My plan is to add an additional 2 to 4 2-tier IFTTT networks to it. My question is, does the tier 1 network of any additional IFTTT networks added to the original also need to be branded like tier 1 and the original IFTTT network was, or can all the additional tier 1s just be persona based? Great question, Daniel. They can all be persona based. For YouTube channels, you don't need to have any branded networks, to be honest with you. I still recommend that your primary network, your tier 1 primary network is branded anyways, because you're going to want to build a brand around your channel, and eventually for an associated website as well, which is what I recommend, because there's a lot of benefit to for SEO to have an associated website, plus you're really developing your own property and not just YouTube's at that point. But so I recommend your primary IFTTT network be branded anyways. But beyond that, for YouTube channels especially, it's easy, guys, because you don't need to worry about footprint issues. You can stack persona network after persona network after persona network on top of that YouTube channel for just more embeds, backlinks, bookmarks, social signals, that sort of thing, and they can all be persona based. I would still theme them though, so that they would be themed around the topic of your channel. But other than that, they can just be persona based. Okay. Basically, just need to know how the Tier 1 should be set up for YouTube triggered networks when using multiple Tier 2 IFTTT networks. Many thanks. It's very easy. For every full 2-tier network that you purchase, you're going to have everything syndicated from one central point, right? From your tier, you're going to have one main trigger for every full 2-tier network, right? It's all it is. And you can connect the same YouTube channel to multiple Tier 1 networks. And each one of the Tier 1 networks are going to be triggered by, or excuse me, each one of the Tier 2 networks are going to be triggered by its corresponding Tier 1 network, right? So all you have to do is set up that same trigger, activate the same YouTube channel, in other words, inside of IFTTT for each one of those Tier 1 networks. So let's say that you have 4 full 2-tier networks, which would give you a total of 8 rings, right? Or excuse me, that would be 3, 6... Wait, 4 would be what? 16 rings. Yeah, I'm sorry, excuse me. It would be 16 rings because it would be 4 Tier 1 rings, and then there would be 12 Tier 2 rings. Then all you would do is activate the YouTube channel inside of IFTTT for the 4 Tier 1 rings. You would use the same channel, and you can do that. There's no problem with that. Okay, so you don't. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. In other words, you don't need to have a specific IFTTT. You can't. It's not that you can only have one YouTube channel per IFTTT account. I mean, it's true you can only activate one channel in an IFTTT account, but you can activate that same channel in multiple IFTTT accounts, if that makes sense. So hopefully that explains or clarifies that, Daniel. I didn't mean for that to sound confusing. For those of you that possibly that's a little bit over your head, don't worry about it. It's just a way to stack the networks. Do we have an image that we can grab? Let's see.
Yeah, it should be on the support.
Or let's go to the networks page, right? We got images there. I want to explain this, make sure that it's for those of you that are visiting maybe. Oops, that's not what I wanted. All right, well, I can't blow this image up, but for those of you that want to see the image on your own, go to networks.ifttttseo.com. and you'll see the image right here. And a tiered network here, you'll see is the YouTube is the center point. And when you're stacking networks, guys, you would want to use the same trigger point for each one of your Tier 1 networks. So if you have 4 of them, then all 4 of them are going to be triggered by the same YouTube channel. It just means you have to log into the IFTTT account for each full 2-tier network, which is just the Tier 1 is all you need to do. Log into that account. Make sure you're logged into that YouTube channel or that Google account, and then activate that YouTube channel as the channel inside of IFTTT. And you can do that across all 4. For example, if you had 4 full networks, which would give you a total of 16 rings, which comes out to be about 352 properties. Pretty damn powerful. That's what we do. We got a lot of our stuff built out like that because you're figuring there's about 22 properties per ring. And there's 88 properties roughly per full 2-tier network. So if you multiply that times 4, that's a lot. There's 350 some properties.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, and we're using that same pattern for Video Powerhouse as well. Since all of our domains are going to IFTTT networks, you get not only the embed on the PBN network, but also on the website, on the video and embed website, but also you get all of those social signals and backlinks. So
that's correct.
Yeah.
For example, on the video embed network, this center point is our PBN site, and what we're doing is syndicating a video or publishing a post on the PBN site that then gets syndicated to all these sites automatically. So you're getting the Tier 1 embed on a PBN site that has good metrics. And then you get the second tier of roughly 22 backlinks, embed, social signals, or bookmarks from that point. So it's basically tiered, very, very powerful. And we've got, I don't know, 120 sites or so in that network right now. We're planning on building it out to be about, and that's Tier 1, guys, with 22, let's just say 20 sites per, 20 Tier 2 per PBN site. We're planning on building it out to be a total of 600 Tier 1 sites, so that's going to be 12,000 Tier 2. So that's it's going to take us a few months to get to that point, but we're working on it. So it's going to be very, very powerful. All right, we're going to keep moving. Let's see. Thanks, Chris. Kevin says, I'm using Joe Troyer's local theme for my site, and it has structured data built into the theme, but after adding my own JSON LD, I now see organization data, local business data, website data, and my custom JSON Financial Service Business data in the Google Markup Tester. Is it okay, or is there an organization, local business, website structured data being found in my markup, or should it only be finding my custom financial service data? I created the financial myself, but not sure how the other categories got there, if they should be showing, or if by them showing it is affecting my rankings. Thanks. Okay, Kevin, I would recommend that you don't have a bunch of the same type of local business schema with different categories. I would recommend that you boil it down or consolidate it down into one, whatever's going to be the most appropriate. So, for example, let me. This is a public Google schema.org local business type list. I don't recommend that you have your own. I recommend that you use one that's already been in here. I'll grab this URL for you to share, Adam, on the events page with everyone. Guys, bookmark that link, because if you're adding structured data to your sites, this is something that you should have. But what I would recommend is for like financial services. Let's see what they got for financial consultant. Here is financial service. Okay, so they do have a category for that. Well, then you should be all right as long as you're using this format. I wouldn't make up your own. I'd use stuff that's already been approved by schema.org and added to their database. Okay. So in this case, it would be schema.org. The business type, local business type, would be financial service. And again, if you got multiple types of schema markup on your page, your site, I would recommend removing some of them. I know what you're talking about with the Joe Troyer local site. It's from Launchpad or whatever it's called, because I purchased that too. And I can't remember if you can remove that widget or not that is hard-coded into that theme. To be honest with you, I've only built a couple sites with it. I prefer to use my own JSON LD markup in the header because you can get more specific with it. With Joe Troyer's theme, at least as it were, the last time I built a site using it, which was about maybe 3 months ago now, you weren't able to edit that code. So you weren't able to get more specific, and I don't like that. I like having a little bit more control over it. Mm-hmm. So if you're using that theme and you are unable to remove that widget, which shows in the footer, or I believe it's in the footer of the site, in the footer widget area. If it's not there, it's in the sidebar. I can't remember. It's been a few months, like I said, since I built a site on that. But if you can remove that and just add your own in the header, then I would recommend that. If you can't, then I would either reach out to Joe Troyer support and find out if there's a way where in the theme files that is, so that you can actually cut that out of the PHP file, in the theme files, so that you can add your own script, or use another theme, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have in mind, guys, that you can get penalized for overusing markups.
Yep.
I've seen
data
that.
Spam.
Yeah, structured data spam. Yeah, I've seen that on I think a couple of Facebook groups that people were marking up the exact same info over and over again on the same pages, and their ranking started to drop.
Yep.
Because of that. So Kevin, be super sure that you're only using the markup once on every page, and try not to send conflicting information to Google Spiders or to using several markup categories.
So again, like I said, if you can't remove like just the widget and have it pull up and have that removed from the actual, like when you go to validate the code in the structured data testing tool, or fetch URL and invalidate, however you do it, if you can remove the widget, it should pull that out. If you can't do that and it's hard coded into the theme files, then you could probably reach out to support and find out where that is and ask them just to point you where it is, and you can remove that on your own. You have to modify the theme file, but you should be able to just cut that out on your own and then save the file. I'd make a backup of it first, though. And then you can add your own JSON LD markup in the header. That's what I prefer to do. Again, I've only built 2 sites using that so far, and it was a few months ago, and I can't remember exactly what I did there. So I am seeing rumors that spun content no longer works and that Google's able to recognize spun content. Have you guys heard anything about it? Yeah, for 2 years now. Yeah, spun content no longer works. It works for backlink building as long as you know where to use it. I never, ever, ever use spun content on a money site, and never, ever, ever use spun content for tier 1 links. Okay, just don't do it. And we haven't been for years now, and we don't plan on starting it anytime soon, or ever for that matter. Using spun content for tier 3 links and beyond. Well, there's reasons that we do that, and that's because you know, those types of links are being used as feeder links just to push juice into further in towards our money site, towards ground zero. But I don't recommend that you use spun content any closer than tier 3. And even then, you got to be somewhat careful about it.
Yeah, and it's not only about Google. Spam content doesn't convert. You know, it doesn't convert your visitors into clicks, into customers, into signups. So you need to use your content to feed Google, of course, but also to feed your visitor with good quality value. So that's the main point. Besides Google, why wouldn't you use spam content on anything that could receive a visitor and could get a click or could make a conversion?
Again, just the main thing to remember is just don't use spun content on your own sites, on your money sites, and don't use it for tier 1 links, because you know, that's, for example, why I like Syndwire. I use Syndwire. I have it. I've got, you know, like 1,500 accounts in there that I use but I use it for videos. Videos is different. You can use it for video embeds, backlinks, whatever. There's still a much higher abuse threshold for YouTube, but I don't use Syndwire to link directly to a money site because it will spin the content, and I don't like to use spun content to point to my money site. Using spun content to point to your tier 1 links is okay, you know, but I just don't ever, I can't recommend that you ever use spun content for tier 1 links, you know, pointing directly to your money site or on your money site itself. Just don't do it. Okay. Another one from Kevin. My site is currently a DA of 6. A PA1 for all my pages, but I've been trying some domain authority stacking stuff and DA boosting, slipstreaming, sape links through 2x301, building links, etc., but I'm not seeing a whole lot of movement after I did my first PBN link. I guess what I'm asking is, after Moz updates P and DA, Google sees what should be a much higher DA and PA for my site. Will my pages dramatically increase in ranking, as right now they are stuck on page 3 with DA6 PA1? Kevin, you're putting way too much weight into the domain authority and page authority as being a direct ranking signal. There is a benefit to having domain authority, you know, higher, but it is not. You know, you could have a domain authority of 60, and you could still be stuck on page 3 to 7. Okay, so you can't just assume that if you boost your DA of your site that you're going to jump to page 1 or to even jump to page 2 for that matter. There's a lot of other things that you should be focusing on. That is a tactic that you can have to your overall strategy, but I do not recommend that you place all of your effort onto boosting DA and PA in hopes that it's going to help you to rank, because you will be sorely disappointed.
Do we have a link to our TrustFlow webinar?
Yeah, we do. We should have
The
an
free
auto.
webby. He might want to take a look at that.
I think it's trustflow.semanticmastery.com, I think.
Yeah, we'll dig it up.
Check that. But yeah, I would recommend that you focus more on on-page stuff on your own site, number 1, and number 2, start focusing more on TrustFlow than on DA and PA. You can still do that as part of your overall ranking strategy. Again, that's a tactic, not a strategy. So it's something that you can add to your toolbox or as part of, you know, as part of what you do. But I do not put that much emphasis on that, because it you know, a couple years ago that was very important, but it's not as near as important now because it's too easy to manipulate. That's why. Okay. Let's see. Stathis says, regarding what Kevin Swartz asked earlier about after Mazda updates PA and DA and Google sees what should be a much higher DA and PA for my site, I wanted to ask if you guys are aware if PA and DA and also TrustFlow and citation flow are metrics that Google officially looks at. I mean, is there an official post or reply from any Googler that they actually do take into account these metrics? No, and I don't think Google ever will publicly state that, even if they do. I've never seen it, and I don't suspect that they ever would, because that would open up the floodgates for people to intentionally go out and manipulate that. There has been, you know, many tests across hundreds and even thousands of sites where TrustFlow, in my opinion, is probably the most important metric as far as, and I'll let Marco chime in on this as well, and Hernan too, but it basically will show the authority and the trustworthiness of links. That's a metric that Majestic developed. But it is really close to what the PageRank algorithm was, and it's updated daily. So it gives us more of an idea of what Google is actually seeing internally, because PageRank is still alive, guys, and Google uses that as a determining factor for how they rank you. They just don't share it with us. So we have to use alternative or third-party metrics, and I think TrustFlow is probably the closest to it. Okay. Again, Google will never publicly state that. At least I don't think they will. My assumption is that they will never publicly state that, because it would give too many people the opportunity or the green light to go ahead and learn how to manipulate that stuff, and they don't want us doing that.
Yeah, I would just tell him to again to go watch that TrustFlow webinar, because we get into TrustFlow, topical TrustFlow, and how they mimic PageRank and TrustRank, how they mimic those algorithms. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to get as close to what Google is seeing as possible, because they won't tell us. Right, and so that the metrics that we use are what we think from all of our tests, what we know from all of our testing, that more closely relate and mimic what Google is seeing and what Google is employing as a metric to rank websites.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Adam just posted the link on the top of the events page, but it's backed up with data. You know, when you sign up to the webinar, you will see that Marco has been doing a lot of research about patents of Google. You know, so it's really backed up with data, and not only the test results that we were having, but the data of the patents that Google is acquiring. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. And see, the problem with PA and DA, guys, is it's a metric of mass. In other words, it can be spammed, and it can accrue based on strictly quantity, not quality. It's not a measure of quality. It's a measure of quantity. Okay, that's what PA and DA is. So you can spam something to death and boost your DA, or your domain authority, or a page authority for a specific page, right? So remember, PageRank was not a domain-wide metric. It was a page metric. So you could have a domain with a PageRank of 5, but you could have a brand new blog post or a brand new page on your site would have a PageRank of NA, not available, not applicable, because it was brand new. It didn't have time to accrue PageRank. Now, with internal linking, proper internal linking, and also backlinking, you can increase the page rank of that page or that post, but it would still start off as 0. With domain authority and page authority, domain authority is a site-wide metric, a domain-wide metric. Whether it's a page, a post, or a subdomain, it doesn't matter. As long as it's attached to that root domain, if the root domain authority is, say, 42, then every single page or post or subdomain that's attached to that domain is going to have a domain authority of 42. It's universal, it's domain-wide, site-wide metric. But page authority would be the same. It's very similar to PageRank and how it accrues, in that it is a page-level specific metric. However, both of those can be completely manipulated through quantity alone. There is no measure of quality there. Okay, juice is juice when you're looking at domain authority and page authority metrics. It doesn't matter whether it's clean juice or dirty juice, it's just juice. But where TrustFlow comes in is TrustFlow is a measure of quality and authority. Okay, and that's where citation flow is more like and these are Majestic metrics, guys, but citation flow is a measure of quantity, right? And TrustFlow is a measure of quality. And so when you're looking for a metric to manipulate or signals to manipulate, you should be looking at your trust signals, because that takes into account not quantity but quality and topical relevance. There's the real key, which now Majestic, if you have a paid account, will show you topical TrustFlow metrics, which is incredibly important. Okay? So hopefully that was educational. Scott says, hi Bradley, do you find your methods to rank videos more successful when combining IFTTT recipes in conjunction with Syndwire, or can you just use one without the other with equal success? For videos, yeah, you can rank with just Syndwire alone. You can also rank with just IFTTT. I use a combination of both because I like to use my IFTTT networks because it's 100% automated. And then from there, if I need to boost the videos, I will do a second embed blast using Syndwire, or I'll use Syndwire to build links to my IFTTT networks. I don't do that much anymore because all of our networks just go over to my link building team and they just build links to the networks. And I use Syndwire now just for supplemental stuff, like for example, and that's just because IFTTT guys is our thing, you know what I mean? So we use it. But if I have a video that starts to slip and I need a little bit of a boost, then I'll do a Syndwire blast with it, that sort of thing. But both tools are good. I like IFTTT because I can set up the networks and they're themed, and then they work on autopilot. Syndwire has there's an expense to Syndwire. If you purchase it, you have to either purchase the software up, which I don't even know if they have a lifetime anymore, but I know there's a monthly cost with it now. And then you have to add all the accounts. And I recommend that if you're using Syndwire that you still set up themed accounts. And you add them as campaigns with themed campaigns, and that's how I recommend you use it. But you can do it with either or, guys. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I prefer our method without a doubt. So, also, do most of your video views come from keyword search or from content discovery? Most of your video views come from keyword. Oh, okay. Or content discovery or recommended videos that come after initial video. The reason I ask is because I've heard 80% of traffic comes from recommended videos out of 10 keywords. Okay, that's one question. To be honest with you, we get a lot of. It depends on what you're trying to promote. I've seen. I know what you're talking about. What he means, guys, is are the views? If you go look at your YouTube analytics, which is in it's part of YouTube channel. You go look at your analytics. You can see where the views are coming from. Your traffic sources, and are they coming from keyword search or are they coming from referral traffic, which would be like coming from Facebook or Twitter or external embeds, which could be just anywhere the video is embedded, or is it coming from related videos, which show up in the right sidebar? And there's also the ones that show up in the after the video is done playing, right in the actual video viewer, right? It depends. I've seen a lot of traffic for certain terms come from related videos, but then I also haven't. For example, our Semantic Mastery channel gets a lot of views every month. And if we look at it, I think about 20% of our traffic comes from recommended videos. But that's not 80%, that's 20%. That's still a lot because we get a lot of traffic to that channel. But it's not near as much as 80%. So I think it depends, Scott, on the actual niche and the keywords. Some are going to be more conducive to referral traffic, like entertainment stuff, like a lot of people like that kind of stuff because people are in that mood looking for entertainment and stuff. But for niche stuff, I would just have I would have to test and look at it from on a keyword on a niche by niche basis, basically. But I know what you mean. It's good to try to be showing. It's good to try to show up in those recommended videos. And there's ways to do that, guys, with tags, by the way. There's ways to get, and also using playlists. Did you know that if you create playlists and grab some of those videos that are recommended videos in the right sidebar that get a lot of traffic for particular keywords, and you add your video in the playlist with those, like sandwiched between a couple of them, and you also mimic the tags from those videos, you can get your videos to show up in that recommended area. So that's pretty much a cool little trick that you can use to capitalize on some of that referral traffic from the recommended videos section. Number 3, out of 10 keywords you're trying to rank for, how many show up at the top? It's completely variable, Scott. There's no way for me to tell you that. It depends on the keyword. Depends on the competition level. There's too many variables, so I can't answer that. Sorry. I know Google search doesn't allow for video slots for many keywords, it seems, so you won't appear there. It depends. Some searches are not the type of searches that will display videos. Others will. Any type of keyword with video, any type of how-to keyword is going to show videos most of the time. There are certain categories of search phrases, guys, and certain categories aren't going to show videos or are a lot less likely to show videos. But then there are certain categories that are more likely to show videos, and then there's always the fluke. There's always the algorithmic anomaly, as I call it, where you can force a video even in a non-video type search. So, but there's just too many variables there. If I'm trying to rank 10 videos, how many of them show up at the top? I'd love to be able to tell you guys I get 7 out of 10 of them to rank, but that wouldn't be true. There's too many variables there. So, That has to be done on a case-by-case basis. And to be honest with you, Scott, the way I do it is I test it. We just test everything. I mean, that's the only thing you can do in SEO. I mean, there's certain things that you can learn that are that will help you, but everything requires testing because every single keyword that you're trying to rank for is going to have different. There's going to be different signals that make it rank, if that makes sense. There are some commonalities, but you have to pretty much test everything and find out what's working for the particular term you're trying to optimize for. Okay. Caesar says, I'm working on a deal with a local biz. I'm having trouble figuring out how to set a realistic expectation for traffic. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but don't want to aim too low and perhaps lose the deal either. The business is in a large city but inside of a small suburb. I told him that the best thing is to set up multiple sites on subdomains for each of the smaller suburbs and then go after the big city term. I know that the keyword planner is not an organic SEO tool, but my fear is that the suburbs using the geo modifier get next to no searches while the big city using the geo modifier gets over 300 per month according to the keyword planner. When I was going over this with the business owner, I told him that if we rank the sites for the smaller suburbs, if people in those suburbs are searching without the geo modifier, that his site would show up because Google shows what is nearest to the searcher if all they do is type in the service or if they're searching from their phone. That sounds good, but is this correct? Yes. I basically pulled that out of you-know-where. But no, that's true, Caesar, and that's why those local... Look, the Google Keyword Planner might not show search volume for like service plus suburb keyword, if that makes sense. But that doesn't mean that people aren't searching for it. It just means that people aren't paying for pay-per-click ads for it. Or if they are, it's not enough for them to track the search volume. But here's my theory on this, guys, my methodology on this is, and I've tested this across dozens of lead gen sites that a portion of my business is in the lead gen arena. And what I like to do is, like, take a county, for example, and I'll just use Fairfax County, Virginia, because that's one that I do a lot of work in. Let's say there's roughly 23 cities, towns, suburbs within that county. Okay, and for a specific search term, let's say tree service, for example, Fairfax, we could use that as an example. It gets roughly 140 searches per month is what it shows in the Google Keyword Planner. And those numbers could be different now. It's been months since I've looked. I'm just saying, just using these as examples. If I were to actually optimize for 23 of the suburbs, which have little to no competition comparatively to that general Fairfax term, okay, I might only get 5 or 10 searches per month per area, but if you multiply that times all 23 areas, cumulatively it ends up being more traffic than just trying to optimize for the one term. That's part one of that. Part two of that is, in doing so and optimizing for those multiple areas, I can link to the overall broader term, which would be, in this case, a bigger city, right? And use that to push as part of the SEO plan for ranking the bigger city. So I'll initially get some traffic and some phone calls coming in, which is really the most important thing, is to start generating leads for that business owner using the suburbs because they're easy to rank. There's less competition. It's not going to be a floodgate of traffic, but it's going to be it's going to be some call volume coming in or leads coming into their business while you work on optimizing for the big city. The problem is optimizing for the big city is going to take you time, and now the clock's ticking. Now you've got the business owner who is becoming impatient. Trust me, it happens all the time while you're trying to rank for the more difficult term. Instead, why not start generating phone calls from some of the less trafficked areas so that and while you're working on ranking the more general term or the more competitive term. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and also he's mentioning that he's using the subdomain technique, which will make ranking the bigger term much more easier.
That's correct. That's correct, because like we talked about with domain authority earlier, that's going to build. It's a cumulative effect. So again, I always recommend when a business owner says to me that they want to rank in this one particular city, I say, well, that's fine. We can work on that. But however, it's going to take me 3 to 6 months to get you ranked in this area. So do you want me to just focus all my attention on ranking in this one area and it's going to take me 3 to 6 months to generate significant results for you? Or would you rather, and my suggestion suggestion is, and my recommendation to you is that we target some of these satellite areas, right? These adjacent areas, the suburbs, the towns, municipalities, whatever you want to call them, and start generating some leads for your business within the next 30 to 45 days while I work on optimizing and ranking you for the more general term or the broader term, the more competitive area, the bigger city, whatever. Okay? And generally, by the way, it's your job as the marketing professional to educate them on why that method is a better method. Okay? You can't let your you got to get in the point, and I know Caesar said this is only his second, I think he said somewhere this was his second, yeah, my second client. I'm a bit nervous when it comes to setting expectations. You can't overpromise and underdeliver. Instead, you should underpromise and overdeliver, but it's also, Caesar, and I know it's difficult, but you got to get to a point where you take the stance of you're the professional, and it's your job to educate them and make recommendations that are in their best interest. Don't let the client tell you what you can let them tell you what they want, but then you need to make sure that you tell them, you know, why that's either a good idea or not so good of an idea, and in what they, if it's not such a good idea, what would be the alternatives that you suggest. Okay, because you're the professional here, and oftentimes I know that clients will do that. They'll say, well, look, this is what I want to rank for, blah blah blah, and it's up to you to show them why that's not the best approach. Okay. So as far as should I go this route or should I go after the big city term right out of the gate? No, I would go after the suburbs first, without a doubt. You could set up the big city term right out of the gate, but I would start working on the suburbs immediately and use that to funnel back into the bigger city. Okay.
Cool.
Also, last part of that is make sure you're using a keyword suggest tool and look. Because, guys, your keyword suggest tools are going to power suggest. That's a good cue, guys. That is where you're going to find out whether there is traffic or not, whether Google Keyword Planner shows any search volume or not. I don't give a shit. I care less whether it shows traffic volume or not. Because if it shows a search plus the city name or suburb name in Google Suggest for your keyword, there is traffic there, period. End of story. Okay, so if you're using a Google Suggest keywords tool, then you should be able to find keywords that actually produce traffic, whether they show up in search, the keyword planner or not. Doesn't matter. Okay. All right. I can't believe how time is flying. Let's go with Sue Barrett. I have been looking at your backlinks packages. I have an affiliate website with no traffic. I purchased an unbranded IFTTT Tier 1 network from you to try to fix this problem. So should I start using your backlinks packages? And if so, do I start with 3,500? How often should I do this? I honestly, Sue, I don't. There's not really enough information for me to tell you. Am I going to tell you that yes, you should build links to your IFTTT networks? Yes, I'm going to tell you that. I mean, it's part of what we do. Step 1 is build the network. Step 2 is build links to the network. And well, step 2 is publish content to your on a regular and consistent basis. Okay. Step 3 is build links to your network.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I would say that yeah. I was about to say that. If so, how often should I do this? Well, I would suggest like you test the results first, but I have been having good results powering my IFTTT networks once every 45 days or something like that, because you will experiment link loss. You know, some of the links that get built, they do not survive and whatnot. It happens. You know, it's just tools. They are tools building links. So sometimes building one package a month or even each 45 days or at the 45-day mark will allow you to keep your IFTTT networks like in good shape. But again, so test it, because you will need to start syndicating out content. And sometimes, depending on competition, you do not need to pump your IFTTT network. We have proven that for some local niches, you do not need. You just need the IFTTT network in place and start publishing content, and you get ranked.
Yeah, that's true, and that's what, Sue. Like I said, the most important thing would be to have a consistent posting schedule to keep your networks powered and themed, and that's important, guys. You know, fresh content is very important today in ranking, and that's part of what makes all of it work. Just having an IFTTT network is not good enough, guys. I mean, it's the publishing of content consistently to those networks that are going to help you to rank. Okay, so that would be, again, step 1, build the network. Step 2, publish content consistently. Step 3, build links to the network. Okay. So, yeah, I recommend that you certainly purchase it, Sue. It's not going to hurt anything, but just make sure that you're posting content regularly. That would be my recommendation first. And target long tails with your posts, you know. Start finding, use the suggest tool. Use Power Suggest. I got it open right here. I use this tool's like open the moment I get in front of my computer all day long because I use it so much. Absolutely love this tool, Power Suggest Pro. Can't recommend it enough. Probably the best keyword tool I've ever used. So.
Yeah, it's good.
Very good. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. Brian says, "Congrats. Always enjoy the value and valued info every week. Would there be a way to remix a YouTube video, live video, multiple times for multiple keywords? So basically, I would like 10 videos for each keyword remix, possibly." Yes, Brian, there is. There's a way you can do it with the YouTube editor, by the way. So I'm going to show this to you guys real quick. Let me just go in the Video Manager, and I'll show you what I mean. If you were to take, like, we'll take this one. All right, so go to YouTube, youtube.com/editor. Okay. Grab the URL of the video that you want to remix, as per your term. Paste it in, click search. It'll come up. You're going to drag it down here to your video. And then, oh, you know what? You could do it that way. You could also do it from the editor screen, and I'll show that to you in a minute. But you see how there's buttons right here that says auto fix, brightness and contrast, all that kind of stuff. You can change stuff here, and then when you change something by just, you know, contrast plus or minus, brightness, you can change that. You can use filters, for example, anything like that. Then you click create video, and it will create a new version of that video with a new URL. It won't affect the original. It'll just create a new one from the exact same URL. However, I want to give a word of caution before you start doing that. Is you don't want to. I would recommend that you're only doing that sort of thing with a spam channel, a test channel, or a spam channel, because you don't want to clutter up a good channel with duplicate videos where all that's been changed are like the, you know, color settings or something like that, because it's going to be the same video. Yes, you can do that, and your channel will allow it, but it's not really what YouTube would say it falls within. It's in a gray area. You know, it's not really. I don't know if it's really against their terms of service, but if somebody were to report your channel for duplicate videos, which happens, and it seems to be happening more often now, then you'll end up losing the channel over it. So if you're going to be doing something like remixing videos on a money channel, like something that you've invested a lot of time and energy in, I would recommend that you do it. You know, make the video files significantly different somehow, whether it's changing the background music or adding opening slides or closing slides that are different on each video, something like that. But you can use the YouTube editor to do it, and also, I've almost missed this, if we go take a look at the edit screen on that video, and then we go over to enhancements, and we click on enhancements, you can do the same thing in here. See how it says autofix, stabilize, there's fill light. You can change the fill light settings, the saturation, contrast, or color temperature. Any one of those settings, you change them and click save as new video. And it won't affect the original. It will just save as a brand new video. And you can, once you save as new video, then you go into info and new set. It'll take some time to render it. But then you can go in and actually edit the settings of the new video to edit the title and the description and the tags and everything else. Okay. All right. So hopefully that answers that. Isn't that Adam? That's your girl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's my lovely fiance who made that awesome. She's been remixing our stuff. She might become our new sound editor. So.
That's pretty cool. Thank you for that.
Jay did one too. I saw that one earlier. We're almost out of time. Adam, you want to let me answer this question, and you want to pick the winner for the...
Yeah, me and Hernan are working in the background.
Okay. Hello, guys. Happy 52nd. I had a client ask me, do you know what the most current algorithm updates from Google have to say about having the city name of a business in the actual domain name? Does this affect search results, and if so, how much does it according to the latest algorithm? Do you guys know the answer to this? Thanks. Marina, I always recommend that the root domain be a branded name, that you don't put the city in the actual root domain. If you're going to be using the city, use it in the pages or the silo structure, so the hierarchy of the URL, either using a category or pages, whatever it may be. You could put the city name in the actual page or post URL somewhere in the URL string, but I don't recommend it being part of the domain name itself. Or another method, which we use in Semantic Mastery mostly, is we have the branded domain name, which would be usually the company's name, .com or whatever, something like that. And then we use subdomains with the city as the subdomain. Okay? But I don't recommend that you guys add, like, you guys got to think long term. Is there going to be an initial boost for having the city name in the domain name for a local business? Yeah, probably. But over the long term, it's kind of spammy looking, number one. And I suspect that it's going to be, exact match domains, they still work, but there are so many negatives for using them because it makes tripping over optimization threshold. So, the over optimization threshold is a lot less. So it makes tripping that penalty a lot easier. So we always recommend that you go with branded names, and you can optimize the pages with the city names in them, and that way you're eliminating the potential for over optimizing, and with the domain name, starting with the domain name, if that makes sense. Okay, so again, I don't recommend, guys, that you put that in the domain. I recommend that you optimize at the page level with the city name, okay, or use a subdomain with the city name, but the root domain itself should be a branded name, and I highly recommend that you guys do that. All right. Scott says, with the recipe for IFTTT, is this needed per video or per channel? If it's per video, that would be a ton of work to set up per video. Scott, yeah, it's per channel, man. You set it up one time, and then every time you upload a video or live stream a video to your channel, it automatically syndicates across all the properties. It's a one-time setup. If it were per video, we wouldn't even be here right now, guys, because it would have never worked as a viable product, a viable method. All right, Adam, do you have one picked?
I am waiting for a confirmation from Hernan right now.
Yeah, there are a ton of good questions. We're having trouble making up our minds.
All right,
yeah, let's see. One more question. One more question.
All right. Adrian says, hi, guys. Happy 52nd. I am building websites around a specific niche, and I have a question. I have the main domain, domain.com, and I have 4 subdomains, and all are around a similar niche to the main domain. I am using SERPshaker, so I have set up the silo as subdomains, countries, i.e. England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I then have counties and cities as the categories and posts. Regarding IFTTT, would you put a ring around each subdomain and just use one ring as all subdomains are similar niche? Would this make one ring more powerful? Thanks, guys, and keep the good work. Okay, Adrian, first of all, it depends. It depends. If it's all around the same niche, you could. However, I do not recommend that you have an IFTTT network being fed by a site that you're generating pages with SERPshaker. I love SERPshaker. I use that plugin. I also use LeadGadget, which is just like an industrial version of it. I love those. I use them all the time. In fact, our masterclass case study, which we're starting in about 7 minutes from now, I'm going to be going over that extensively today. But I do not recommend that you're posting to an IFTTT network with those types of pages or posts, because they will get your account shut down. Your Web 2 accounts will be terminated. Okay, don't do it. Okay, so what I recommend is, if you're going to be building sites out that way, build them out first. Create all the shaker pages or posts, and then put a network on it, and then post to those sites like you normally would with a regular traditional style blog post or curated blog post, which is what we recommend, so that you're only feeding your networks with original content, original blog posts. Okay. That said, if all 4 of your subdomains are around a similar niche, yeah, you could have one branded network. What I like to do initially when I start off with a project that is along those same lines, Adrian, is I like to have one branded network, and then once I start gaining some traction with the site, which all 4 subdomains could post to the same network, right? You just have to set up additional recipes for all that using the subdomains RSS feed for each one of them, okay? But once you start gaining some traction, if you gain traction with those sites, then you can get more specific by generating a branded with geographic modifier network. In other words, if it was like Plumbing England, Plumbing Ireland, I know that's very broad, but I'm just saying, if you had a plumbing site and you were targeting plumbing, let's say it was Joe's Plumbing was the main brand, then you could have Joe's Plumbing England, Joe's Plumbing Ireland, Joe's Plumbing Scotland, Joe's Plumbing Wales. Then you could have separate networks for each, which is going to give you more power over the long run, but it is definitely a lot more setup, a lot more cost. So I recommend starting off with just one, and once you start generating revenue, then you can start building out the additional networks and separating them out based on location. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
All right, we got a winner selected. So Jacob Erdai, I hope I'm saying your name right. So hopefully you're here, because if you're here, I need you to comment. And we'd love to have you try out the mastermind for 3 months. We'd like your questions about, as you're asking about PBNs and methodology for figuring out domains and some other things. So comment, or we're going to move on to our second pick. So I'd hate to bypass you, so we'll give you a little bit while we're waiting for you to comment. Wanted to say we obviously had a ton of questions today, which is awesome.
Is this his question that won right here?
I'm not looking at your screen.
Jacob Erdai, I can see. Which question is it? Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Screw that, Wayne wins.
So, but what I wanted to say was everyone else who didn't, we didn't get to the questions today, me and Hernan are going to go through and go through the rest of the questions, get what we can on the podcast tomorrow. So I'm going to drop the link to the podcast on iTunes so you guys can check that out.
Yeah, guys, because there's so many questions here, and Hernan and Adam are doing the podcast for us now, and these would be great for them to catch up on these questions for those of you that did ask questions. So please check that out. By the way, when you go visit our podcast or listen to it, make sure you subscribe to it, and also leave us a review, please.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and real quick, I saw 2 questions I want to answer. Well, 3 things. Jacob, yeah, you're here. All right. So cool, man. You won. We'll be getting into that shortly. So congratulations. And then we had a couple people who haven't been here before. Kim, I just wanted to say that, yes, we do use this for things. The things we teach apply beyond clients. We do affiliate offers, lead gen, things like that. And and Craig, I suggest you check out the podcast. Just drop the link in there. I know you're newbie to the group. I think I talked to you via email. But yeah, check it out. Subscribe to the list and start coming to Hump Day Hangouts or watching the replays. And I think that'll help you out a lot.
Okay, guys, can you point me to Jacob's question? I want to answer that before we get off, since his question won. I think it's only
That's
fair
the
to
one,
answer.
Bradley. The one you have on your screen right now.
This one?
Yep.
That's it?
That's the one.
Okay. I'm trying to decide if I'm biting off more than I can chew. By the way, congratulations, Jacob.
Yep.
When building PBNs for the purpose of getting that one homepage link per PBN domain, is there any set methodology to figuring out how many domains you may need in order to rank for a set niche? Is there a point in time where you give up on a niche? Clearly, I won't rank for car insurance as it's too competitive, but I still have some moderately competitive terms that I'm trying to go after. Okay, we're going to answer this somewhat quickly, but Jacob, honestly, I don't build PBNs to get that one homepage link per site. I build PBNs and then I theme them properly. They're broad enough to where they can cover multiple sub niches, so that I can get more mileage out of the PBN. And then I set the PBN sites up to where they look like real live websites and not just blogs. Because guys, you can smell a PBN site or spot a PBN site from a mile away.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that looks at a PBN site, 99% of the time can tell it's a PBN site with just a glance. And so that's a no-no. And so I don't use it. If you've got sites like that, you should be using them as tier 2 links only, not direct to your money site. Okay, that said, if you're going to be using PBN links, set them up as real valid sites with like a static home page. And I know that the juice is probably going to be mostly on the home page. I get that. We set up the 404 redirect plugins. I get all that. But what I recommend you do is you silo out your PBN sites and have your categories or top-level pages, however you decide to silo it out, as part of your navigation menu, plus put contextual links within that static home page to those top-level pages or category pages, depends on how you set it up. And then you use posts within your PBNs to link to your money sites, because then you can link multiple times from the same PBN to your money site, as well as link to other sites that are in a similar niche. All right, so my point is, if you were buying PBN domains and buying hosting and paying to get them set up or setting them up yourself, you're investing a lot of time, energy, and money to get that one link per PBN. To me, that is a complete waste of time. It's inefficient. It's with both money and time. So I recommend that you build out PBNs if you're going to be using those as part of your strategy to get a lot more mileage out of them. And then you can. And what I recommend is you always use curated content for your posts, for your content that you're using for post and link building. Is use curated content. And again, Jacob, as the winner, you're going to be inside the mastermind for free for 3 months. You'll get access to our Curation Mastery course where we teach exactly how to do that properly. Okay, and you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck, more mileage. You'll get to be able to use those PBNs for more. They'll usually pass a manual review if they get manually reviewed by a Googler. So there's a lot of benefit to that. So is there a point where you give up on a niche? Yeah, I would, but the problem is if you're going after too broad of a term, I wouldn't give up on a niche. What I would do is drill down into longer tail stuff that you can rank for, and over time, you got to keep working at it, but over time, those long tails, content on that money site that you're trying to rank for the broader term will help the broader term to rank, but it's going to take consistency and time. Anybody want to add to that before we wrap it up?
No, I totally agree with you, Bradley. Go for the long tails, start generating revenue, and then you use that revenue to reinvest back on your $1 million keyword.
Oh, I gotta love Wayne's
great. You naughty boy.
All right, guys. Well, hey, everybody, thanks for being here. This was a great 52nd one-year anniversary episode. We so appreciate you guys for joining us every week for the last year. Looking forward to the next year, the next 52 weeks. So, again, thanks for everybody being here. Thanks, guys.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.
All right, masterclass starts 2 minutes, guys. We'll see you in a few. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.